know, like, where are the men? It's too early for this, chat. I am on demon time today. I don't know what it is.
I came here to look for a boyfriend.
Good luck.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think all the men there are just...
This is what women do, though. They go out, they live a life that's all laissez-faire of like, I think it'll happen. I just hope that I'll get my fairy tale Disney princess ending, and it never happens. The thing is, and put a 1 in the chat if you agree, I think so many women, they work so hard for a career, but they never work hard for a relationship. But a relationship is supposed to mean more than a career, but you never put any work into it. It's because little girls and young women are never taught what they're expected to do for a man, but they only are taught what a man or what they should expect from a man. Sorry, I was trying to open this chapstick. Can't do more than one thing at once, chat.
Men like women anymore.
There we go. Now call us gay. It's always that, right?
I don't think that men desire us women anymore.
Not mid women.
Big back, big back.
Is she thicker than me?
Real women, I don't think that they value us like they used to.
It's a shaming language.
Men aren't really putting out effort.
And you are?
They're not putting out any type of effort like they used to.
It's not that men don't...
When are you going to realize that you're a 5 on your best of days? That's the problem. It's these shiny nickels thinking that they're priceless dimes.
Man is handsome, educated, has money, but still single. Then what could be the problem?
Are they all serious?
Yeah, it's probably the women, dude. Here's my whole thing. When somebody asks you, there's 2 different ways somebody can ask you why or how you're single, right? If somebody goes, why are you single? That's a much different question than how are you single? Why are you single is insinuating there's something wrong with you. Why are you single? What's wrong with you? But if you get asked, how are you single? That means, hey, you're an absolute catch. How in the world are you in any way single? Two much different things here. BRB, starting a fight because my boyfriend doesn't want to get married in our board game. Oh, sorry. He said marriage has no benefit. Sorry, it's muted in your chat.
What? You're not going to get married? Josh.
But why? What's the point of getting married? I have to pay $50,000 to get married for what?
Excuse me?
Plot twist. He wasn't talking about the game.
Excuse me? You know, I get married in this game?
Wondering, have black
Why all you women have the same necks? I'm wondering that.
men like totally giving up on black women?
Yeah, it's a done deal. We decided to go where we're celebrated, not where we're tolerated.
Yeah, they've given up.
I mean, I've watched enough Kevin Samuels content that a lot of, black men have just given up on black women. It's sad.
Commit to liking a sports team for his whole life, the same sport team his entire life. He's not afraid of commitment, okay? He just doesn't want to commit to you.
She's right, and it's probably...
I mean, she's got a point. I know. Well, and also, I think guys pick their, day one friends at a very early age. Like, we as guys were, at 15, 16 years old, all right, this is my boy, and I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to ride this out till I die.
Men are happy being single.
Good Lord. Looking like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Shots fired!
They are. They're definitely enjoying it more than they used to before. And because I see it, it's gotten harder to date,
Yeah, you're beat to bits. You look like an eggplant with eyes and a nose.
Lately, men are very, satisfied in their lives without women.
I'd be unsatisfied if you were in my life, I'll be honest.
Shots fired!
I'd be unsatisfied, bro. Oh my God. But here's a way you can get some satisfaction. Scan this QR code. Go to Free Cash. You can play mobile games. You can do reviews. And I always like to check the Trustpilot. I can't remember who it was, but yesterday somebody was like, I'm so close to cashing out, Levi. I have 15
As President Trump shared with the American people last night, the United States military is making tremendous strides towards achieving our military objectives for Operation Epic Fury.
Yeah.
10 days in, this campaign has
It's
been a
been 10 days already
success thus far, and America's warriors are winning this important fight at an even faster pace than we anticipated.
Great.
More than 5,000 enemy targets have been struck so far.
That's a lot of targets.
Iran's ballistic missile attacks are down more than 90%, and their drone attacks are down by approximately 85% since the start of Operation Epic Fury. The United States is also annihilating the Iranian regime's navy, and we have destroyed more than 50 Iranian naval vessels,
You said 51.
including a major
I thought they were
drone
out of
carrier
ships.
ship. None of the regime's vessels are operating in major regional waterways, and the Iranian Navy has been assessed as combat ineffective.
Oh, so it's
the
deleted?
trend is clear. U.S. combat capabilities are increasing and growing more lethal and dominant by the day,
You know
while
Pete
the
Hegseth
Iranian
wrote
terrorist
this.
regime's ability to respond has rapidly declined. Now, the
You know,
U.S.
you can
military
see
is
her
moving
reading
to
it.
dismantle Iran's missile production infrastructure. Our incredible B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound penetrator bombs on deeply buried missile sites.
Wow.
Last night, President Trump reiterated his commitment toward keeping oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz.
That's right.
So the United States and all of our allies can receive their energy needs.
Wow.
President Trump will not allow rogue Iranian terrorists to stop the freedom of navigation and the free flow of energy.
Yeah, that's a
Let
good
me be
thing.
clear. It is a good thing to wipe out
That's what I
terrorists
said.
who indiscriminately target civilians and attempt to hold the global economy hostage. And President Trump should be commended
Cuba's
for doing
next.
so.
Oh, Cuba's.
It's
already over.
Unequivocally clear to the remaining
At this
elements
point,
of this terrorist
it's already
regime
over.
in his statement yesterday. If they do anything to stop the flow of oil or goods within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the world's most powerful military 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far.
So they're just going to get deleted.
The stated objectives for Operation Epic Fury remain the same. Destroy the terrorist regime's ballistic missiles, raise their Iranian missile industry to the ground, ensure their terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region, and ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. President Trump remains confident these goals will be accomplished in swift fashion.
It's like a purge?
As for the oil,
Yeah, it's like a purge.
President Trump fully expected the rogue Iranian regime to try and disrupt the global markets. That's why President Trump and his energy team have been planning for this long before the strike and have moved quickly to address these temporary disruptions. Thus far, the Trump administration has offered political risk insurance to tankers operating in the Gulf.
Oh, I saw that.
The Treasury temporarily waived certain oil-related sanctions, and the Commander-in-Chief has offered the U.S. Navy to escort tankers when necessary.
That's nice.
The President and his energy team
What
are
a nice
closely
guy.
watching the markets, speaking with industry leaders, and the U.S. military is drawing up additional options following the President's directive to continue keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. I will not broadcast what those options look like, but just know the President is not afraid to use them. Rest assured to the American
Nuclear
people,
bomb.
the recent increase in oil and gas prices is temporary, and this operation will result in lower gas prices.
Has gas gone up
in the
for you
long
guys?
term. Once the national
Has it or
security
not?
objectives of Operation Epic Fury are fully achieved, Americans will see oil and gas prices drop rapidly, potentially even lower than they were prior to the start of the operation. And we will live in a world where Iran can no longer threaten the United States or our allies with a nuclear bomb.
That'd be good.
On another
That'd be
matter
a good
here
thing.
at home, President Trump is urging Congress to pass the Save America Act, one of the most critical pieces of legislation in our nation's history.
Wow.
The Save America Act is overwhelmingly popular with all Americans because each provision is
Up
rooted
30
in
cents?
common
I don't
sense.
even really check for
The Save
gas a
America
lot.
Act has 5 simple requirements as requested by the President of the United States.
I don't know
Number
about gas
one,
prices. Work my
voters
ass off
have
to not
to
be
show
poor.
ID to cast a ballot in an American election.
I still usually
Very
try to pay
simple.
attention.
90% of Americans, including more than 80% of Democrat voters, agree with this. Number 2, the Save America Act will require all voters to show proof of citizenship in order to register to vote.
Imagine
in
not
American
wanting people
elections.
to show citizenship.
Again, this is
Like,
popular and
how can
rooted
you be
in common
against
sense.
that?
Only American citizens
so
have the right to
retarded.
vote in American elections.
I don't
But
know
after
how you
Joe
can even
Biden
get
and
there.
the Democrats allowed tens of millions of illegal aliens into our country, it's more important than ever to ensure that only American citizens are registering to vote on our nation's voter rolls. And Congress
You have to be a
needs
cheater.
To pass this.
Yeah.
Number 3, the Save America Act abolishes the incredibly unsecure practice of universal mail-in ballots, which throw the door wide open for fraud.
Yeah.
Importantly, The Save America Act maintains exceptions for Americans to use mail-in ballots like
If
for
they're
illness,
sick or something,
disability,
yeah, that's fine.
military, or travel reasons.
Yeah.
The bipartisan 2005 report of the Commission on Federal Election Reform, chaired by, of all people, former President Jimmy Carter and former Secretary of State James Baker, concluded that, quote, absentee
Why the
ballots
U.S. doesn't have
remain
free
the
and
largest
national ID
source of
or
potential
federal
voter
ID?
fraud, and
We
it
do.
is time for Congress
It's
to
just done by
finally
each
address
state.
this. Number 4,
But they're
the Save
cross-referenced.
America Act permanently bans men from competing in women's sports. President Trump signed a landmark executive order upholding the promise of Title IX and ending this dangerous and unfair practice.
Oh
But
my
now
God,
it's
this
time
is
for
a
Congress to
transgenocide.
codify this into law.
Oh my
Number
God.
5, the Save America Act bans transgender mutilation surgery for children. Again,
Oh my
President
God.
Trump signed a common sense executive order to do this and kept his promise to the American people, but now Congress needs to do the same and
Yeah,
codify
they obviously
it.
should
it's
do
well
that.
past time for Democrats in Congress to stop perpetuating the radical and false claim that you can somehow change a child's sex. You cannot.
It's sick. It's
Passing
totally
the Save America
sick.
Act is the most important thing that Republicans
The fact that
and
people play
frankly
along with that
Democrats can
bullshit
do
is
to
so
strengthen election
it's so
integrity
dangerous.
and protect our democracy.
It's ridiculous.
It's what the American people elected Republicans to do, and they must deliver on it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
The president is calling on Congress to get the job done and send this historic piece of legislation to his desk
The pedos?
immediately.
Some
for
of them are. I don't know about all
So
of
with
them.
that today, I will take your questions. Benny, thank
Okay.
you for being here, and why don't you start us off?
Thank you, Caroline. So my first question is actually about the Save America Act. So one of the biggest things that the Democrats are saying, the claims that they're making, is that the Save America Act, it would prevent married women from voting in elections or make it harder for them. What do you have to say to those claims?
Oh my
is
God.
there any validity to them, and where do you think they're getting this from?
There is zero validity to these claims, and I'm glad that you brought them up because you
Yeah.
have the Democrats who have created this myth
I mean,
that has been perpetuated.
wait,
unfortunately,
it's not
by many in the
disenfranchising
mainstream
women?
media. Let me be very clear.
Oh.
The Save America Act does
Oh,
not prohibit
God.
anyone
Oh,
from
shit.
voting, with the exception of illegal aliens. And the
Oh.
greatest way to disenfranchise American citizens from voting in American
Fuck.
elections is to allow illegal aliens to vote.
I'm out,
which is
yeah.
what Democrats want to do.
I don't know
See
about this
taking
one,
place
guys.
In Democrat jurisdictions at the state and local level.
I'm not for it
across
anymore.
this country.
Yeah.
So the Save America Act corrects that.
Mhm.
And as far as married women who have changed their name, if they're
Yeah.
already registered to vote, they're entirely unaffected by the Save Act. And for the small fraction of individuals who have changed their name or their
Mhm.
address, they can still register to vote, of course. They just have to go through their state processes to update that documentation. And this is something that the American people, married women, and minorities, and people all across this country who Democrats are insultingly saying cannot do this,
Yeah.
they're already doing it every day, going to the Social Security office.
Yeah, they
going to
can't.
the
They
DMV,
can't
and I
use.
think
They
it's
can't go to the
frankly insulting
DMV.
that the Democrats
It's
are saying that there are
impossible
certain
for a
groups of
woman
people
or
in
a
this
black
country
person
who
to
aren't
go
smart
to
enough
figure out where the
update their
DMV is.
documentation to allow them to vote.
The
Again,
only
this is
person that could
huge
figure
myth,
out
and
where a
thank you for giving me
DMV
the
is a
opportunity to
white
address
man.
And then there's one
Black people don't even know what DMV
The funding
is.
issue has been 3+ weeks now. I was at the airport this morning in
They don't
St.
even know
Louis,
what the word
Missouri,
is.
and it was early in the morning, and one of the TSA agents, I saw she was kind of
So
tearing up, she
true,
was crying,
brother.
and I asked her, I was like, what's wrong? And she was like, I can't make my phone payment. I can barely make my car payment that's coming up. I think a lot in the Beltway, there's so much noise between Democrats, Republicans. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the Republicans' fault.
Yeah.
But what is the White House's message to the American people that are struggling because they're not getting that paycheck?
It's the Democrats' fault.
Take
Tell them
away
it's the
the
Democrats'
politics.
fault.
What do you have to say to those people?
What do you mean? What do you have to
President
say?
Trump
That are
wants
poor.
the Department of Homeland Security. He wants TSA. He wants FEMA. He wants the brave men and women of our United States Coast Guard to receive their paychecks. And he wants this department to be fully funded and fully reopened. And so to any American
Don't
out
forget,
there
they don't have
who
these
is struggling
computers.
without a
They
paycheck,
don't even know
we
what the
there's
word
more than
computer is.
100,000 of you across the country. To any American out there who is showing up to an airport and facing incredibly long wait times and lines, call your Democrat member of Congress and tell them to fund the Department of Homeland Security. That's what President Trump wants to do, and it's completely ridiculous that the American people are suffering as a result of these partisan games that are being played by Democrats on Capitol Hill. Thank you.
How's our audio bad? I think it's fine.
You said the operation was going faster than anticipated. What is your current timeline for how long?
You're not going to. He's not going to. Why would
So
you
look,
ask
as you
that?
know, Steve, the president and the U.S.
Why would you even? Why would you waste our time with this?
Timeline was about 4 to 6 weeks to achieve the full objectives of Operation Epic Fury. Again, to destroy their missiles and their ability to make them, destroy their navy,
it's just,
permanently deny them nuclear weapons forever, and to, of course, weaken
the war's
their
going to be
evil
over
terrorist
in
proxies
7
in the
days from
region.
now.
We know that the U.S. military and our brave warfighters are quickly and expeditiously executing these objectives well ahead of schedule. But ultimately, the operations will end when the commander-in-chief determines the military objectives have been met, fully realized, and that Iran is in a position of complete and unconditional surrender, whether they say it or not.
Does the president still want Iran's unconditional surrender?
Well, when President Trump says that Iran is in a place of unconditional surrender, he's not claiming the Iranian regime is going to come out and say that themselves. What the president means is that Iran's threats will no longer be backed by a ballistic missile arsenal that protects them from
It's just
going to
be a bunch of idiots talking shit.
I could make an empty threat, but if I have no actions to back it up, then it's an empty threat. And so President Trump will determine when Iran is in a place of unconditional surrender, when they no longer pose a credible and direct threat to the United States of America and our allies. Adriana.
Can you explain why the Energy Secretary posted and then appeared to have deleted a post on X saying that the U.S. Navy escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz?
What?
Yes, I was made aware of this post. I haven't.
That was
had a
a
chance
fuck
to talk
up,
to the
huh?
Energy Secretary
Kind of messed
about
up.
it directly. However, I know the post.
We're going to be there
was
for a
taken down
long
pretty
time.
quickly, and I can confirm,
Somebody said
that
15
the US Navy
years.
has
We're going to be in
escorted
Iran for
tanker or
15
vessel
years.
at this time. Though, of course, that's an
That's a
option
long
the president
time.
has said he will absolutely utilize if and when necessary at the appropriate
Just
time.
the way it is.
Something that was posted erroneously.
20 years?
Could it be because of a staffer? What, I guess.
It's bullshit.
Will there be any
Like
consequences
15
for this? I know you
days.
still have to
Maybe.
consult, but just generally speaking.
Again, I would defer you to the Department of Energy to answer that question.
And if I could just follow up really quickly.
Sure.
In terms of oil sanctions, the president said that there would be some sanctions that would be lifted. Would those be on Venezuela, Russia?
What do you mean? Iran will be the 51st state? No, Cuba will be.
I know it's something that the Treasury Department
Yeah,
and
it's gonna
the
be
President's
Cuba.
energy team continue to discuss, and they will ultimately consult with the President before decisions are made. I don't have any announcements on new sanctions or the lifting of new sanctions for you today. Alex.
Thank you. Reuters has reported that about 150 U.S. Service members have been injured so far. Can you confirm that
150?
number and elaborate on that?
That's a lot.
I can't confirm the exact number. I know it's within that ballpark, but I would defer you to the Pentagon.
I'm surprised that many got injured, but
wounded or injured thus far.
very few got killed.
And then secondly,
Just
if
surprising.
I can, I wanted to ask about...
when does Minnesota become a state again? We're going to
There
send...
was a briefing on Capitol Hill today, and some senators came out and said they were more convinced than ever that there would be U.S. boots on the ground. Senator Blumenthal said that. In fact,
They think that there's
your reaction to that.
troops on the ground?
Any update on President Trump's
Why would they think that?
Look, I would say that Democrats on Capitol Hill are clearly being quite disingenuous. 3 years
Do you
ago,
think gas prices will
not
go
a
even
single
lower after the
Democrat
conflict?
Voted,
It depends on what happens.
Against the resolution
Right?
condemning Iran as the
'Cause,
world's leading state sponsor of terror. Yet now, with President Trump as commander-in-chief finally taking
If they
the
stop
action
being
that so many
retarded, then yeah,
Democrats
they're going to go
have
a lot
called
lower
on
probably.
the commander-in-chief to do for many,
That's what I
many
bet.
years to wipe out the threat of a rogue Iranian terrorist regime. Now, all of a sudden, Democrats are playing politics with this long-standing bipartisan policy of the United
everybody
States.
hated Iran.
And they, 53 of them in the House recently voted against the resolution condemning Iran as the world's state sponsor
Yeah, it's
of terror.
retarded.
So I wouldn't take Democrats at their
47-year
word.
low?
As for boots on the
Maybe.
ground, the
I
president
doubt
has
that.
talked
Is it
about this
inflation?
repeatedly. Wisely,
But, yeah.
he does not rule options out as commander-in-chief. So again, I would hesitate to confirm anything that a Democrat on Capitol Hill says right now about the president's thinking. Garrett.
John, you outlined
really
to
good.
Steve the military components of what would be involved in ending this war, but it seems like there's a political component too. The president said to Fox earlier today that he doesn't believe the new Ayatollah can live in peace. He made a variety of comments suggesting that he should be involved in picking the new Iranian leader.
Yeah.
Is the ending of this war also contingent on Iran selecting a leader that the president finds acceptable? And if so, how is that not the definition of a regime change war?
Well, that's
Look,
a good
as
question.
President Trump
That's a
has
very good question.
Blatantly and frankly stated, it's obviously within the best interest of the
Mm-hmm.
United States and the West to no longer have a radical terrorist in charge.
Wait, what? I thought we loved terrorism.
Especially as we see their reaction
what do you mean?
To Operation Epic Fury. They had their missiles turned towards our Gulf and Arab partners in the region. Again, this was a regime that chanted, or still chants, death to America.
That's not a good one.
The way that they are holding the entire world hostage with the restricting of the free flow of energy through the Strait of Hormuz. So the president, I think, is making quite an obvious comment. Again, as for the timeline of the military operations with respect to Iran, we have objectives that we have laid out.
Yeah, shouldn't have said that.
Wants to see achieved.
Definitely a bad thing to say.
Then it will ultimately
that death to America thing is a huge. It's a huge non-starter.
Not exactly addressing my question, though. Is that political objective also necessary for the president to decide to end this war?
It depends.
Again, I just told you the objectives of Operation Epic Fury. When those objectives are met, the president will dictate the end of these operations when he deems that Iran no longer poses a credible
Your beard looks
threat
nice
to
today.
the United States of America.
Thank you.
And again, it goes back to what is
Why don't
that
they just call it a
unconditional
regime
surrender
change
look
war?
like? Iran can talk all they want, and their words will be very empty when we've completely
because they're worried
annihilated
about it
their
not
navy as
happening.
we are
That's
doing,
the reason
when we've
why.
taken out the threat of their ballistic missile capability. When we can
They know they can blow up all their missiles, but they don't know if they can change the government.
Make a nuclear bomb to threaten the
That's the
United
reason
States
why.
and our allies and our troops in the region, and that's what President Trump is ultimately seeking to do.
There's also optics
with
to it,
respect
yeah.
to this operation.
Jennifer, there was a shooting outside of a synagogue in Baltimore. Do you know if the president has been briefed on that, and do you have any more details?
A synagogue in Baltimore.
I don't, but we certainly will get you more.
I'm
details,
sure they must be.
I don't know if the president has briefed, but I'll check on that when I get back to the Oval Office after this.
Sure, it must be a totally normal thing.
The president said yesterday for the first time that he had to strike Iran because he believes that Iran was going to strike U.S. targets within 7 days. And then he bumped that down later to 3 days. Where is he getting that?
Well, that's not the first time the president has said that he chose to launch Operation.
He just made it up. That's where he got it. Everybody knows he just made it up.
The United States and our assets in the region first.
I mean, let's be honest.
I addressed this in the last briefing.
Yeah, it's a vibe. Like, I feel like they're gonna do some kind of shit.
Provided to him by his top negotiators.
I don't like this.
Engaged with the Iranian regime in a good faith effort. The Iranian regime was lying, deceiving the United States of America, clearly trying to continue their nuclear program to create a bomb that would, of course, threaten the United States of America. Again, their ballistic
came to him in a
arsenal,
dream.
They were rapidly and aggressively increasing that by the month
astrology.
To a place where they would essentially build immunity for themselves, where a future president or President Trump would not be able to launch this incredibly successful operation. And so the president, again, as I have reiterated and he has said, was not going to sit back and allow the Iranian regime to threaten or to attack the United States of America any longer.
It was only a matter of time.
Leaders or Israeli leaders who are making those same claims. So is he making this up to justify his decision to go to war now?
Yeah, he made the whole thing up.
Not making anything up.
He made the whole thing up.
Looking at
That's
this
right.
every single day based on intelligence, based on facts, and based on intelligence that he himself and his negotiators have.
Yeah, he read it on Twitter.
Consumed based on their negotiations with the rogue Iranian regime over the past year.
Reporter.
And the president and his team tried in a good faith way to reach a diplomatic deal through peaceful means with the Iranian
seems like
regime.
these people are more
And
interested
Iran
in catching
chose
Trump
this
and
path
saying something
to death
wrong
and destruction.
than actually
Iran wanted to attack the United
saying
States
anything
of
about the
America, and
news.
the president was not going to sit back and allow that to happen. He was not going to sit back and allow that to happen, and everyone in this room should be grateful for it.
Yeah.
John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions for you. One has to do with a follow-up to your statement that you made at the beginning of the briefing regarding the Save America Act.
Sure.
Yesterday,
it's always about whether Trump was right or wrong. It's not like about whether a decision is good or bad. It's like surrounding him. It's always about like his reaction or his response to something.
The votes aren't there for a talking filibuster. He says that's the reality. What's your reaction to what Senator Thune said?
Look, I think President Trump, the urgency behind his need to pass the Save America Act and his desire to get this country-saving legislation passed has been made quite clear. He wants all options on the table, and he wants the Senate to move as quickly as possible through whatever means necessary.
And then secondly, just regarding the president's trip tomorrow, looking ahead, why Ohio and why Northern Kentucky?
Well, well, why not? These are two great states with great Americans.
Just wanted to know why they were chosen.
Great states with great Americans. The president will be joined by
We're going to bomb Ohio and Kentucky after Cuba.
Who he
That's the reason why.
And respects and supports.
Yeah,
and
that no, but she can't say that yet.
These places and
it's a
talking
secret.
about the economy, which is of course the utmost importance to him.
Yeah. Minnesota, we're building up to it.
The energy security issued a waiver for India to get oil, Russian oils.
This might be a surprise, guys, but he's asking about India.
Have you spoken to the president about it? What's the idea behind this?
Have I spoken to the president about it?
Yeah.
Yes, I have spoken to the president about it.
Uh-huh.
And the president and the Secretary of Treasury and the whole national security team came to this decision because our allies in India, as you know, Lalit, have been good actors and have previously stopped buying sanctioned Russian oil. So as we work to appease this temporary gap of oil supply around the world because of the Iranians, we have temporarily permitted them to accept that Russian oil. And this Russian oil was already at sea. It was already out on the water. So this short-term measure, we don't believe it will provide significant financial benefit to the Russian government at this time.
I have one more question about Pakistan. You know, Pakistan is a neighbor of Iran, and Pakistan is also an ally of U.S. President has been praising a lot about the field marshal. Is Pakistan providing any kind of support in this war against
Pakistan?
Iran? That I will have to check on with the Pentagon and get back to you.
Uh-oh.
Sure.
The president said yesterday that President Putin told him he wanted to be helpful in the Middle East.
President Putin wanted to help out?
Putin said, quote, I would like to reaffirm our unwavering support for Tehran and our solidarity with Iranian friends. How does the president think that Russia could be helpful, if not,
maybe by not
helping
saying that?
Iran? And did the president push Putin on Russia sharing intelligence with Iran in this war?
Why the fuck would
the president
she know that?
and his special envoy Witkoff have both said that, of course, they've sent a message to Russia that if that was taking place, it's not something they would be happy with.
Tell them to stop.
It is not taking
They're
place.
quit doing that.
As for further
it's
details
fucking
about
annoying.
the discussions between these two leaders, I'll leave it to the president to divulge any more of that conversation. But he did confirm it yesterday and provided you with a little bit of the background and his view and his perspective, as he always does.
Not a surprise.
Regarding the
maybe not showing boat locations,
school, how long does the administration expect that investigation to take, and will the White House or the Department of Defense release a full report of its findings once the investigation is complete?
The Department of War will do that. The investigation continues, and as the president said yesterday at his press conference, he will accept the conclusion of that investigation, whatever it may be. We'll go to the back row for some love.
Dumb question.
Sure, in the back,
it's just
with the glasses.
The school explosion again.
Regarding the shield of the
Sitting down.
Yeah.
Caroline, and then you can go, but go first.
Okay, thank you. Is there an update regarding
You have rough real estate back there, so I'm trying to give you
is
some
there
love.
an update regarding Cuba, and also is an economic deal imminent?
Cuba.
Sure, I don't have any updates on Cuba for you today. Obviously, this is something the administration is actively dealing with. The president's made it quite clear, it's his belief, based on fact, that the Cuban regime is bound to fall. The country is obviously in a very weak place, economically speaking. The people
Cuba's
are crying
done.
out for help.
It's over.
And the president believes and knows that the Cuban regime wants a deal. So as you know, Secretary of State Rubio has been engaged in those conversations as directed by the president.
Yeah, he's going to take it over.
For you today, though.
Thank you, Caroline. Regarding the Shield of the Americas, the initiative by President Trump this weekend, big names, a lot of countries, but some notable absences. For instance, Colombia, which is a key ally with the United States in terms of counter-narcotics.
Cuba is already a humanitarian crisis. Yeah, Cuba is a shithole.
Why wasn't Colombia invited to the Shield?
Massive shithole.
I don't think we're seeing the level of cooperation we quite want to see yet from the Colombian government to invite them to the Shield of America's event in Pact, but we certainly hope that this newfound organization will expand and we can continue to invite
Yeah, that's what I heard.
additional member countries.
I heard the same thing.
There was quite a few countries there. I believe there were 17 countries represented,
Shows
12 heads of state with the president over the weekend.
They're going to get the love.
They're
going to get
signed a defense agreement with all
intimately.
of our militaries to emphasize the need to combat drug cartels through Latin America and the Western Hemisphere, and ultimately, of course, to curb the illegal trafficking of drugs to the United States, which is the president's
That's the main
utmost
focus, right?
priority
Yeah.
in all of this.
Should be the main
it was a great
focus. It
event
should
on
be.
Saturday, and we look forward to the coalition expanding. Kelly in the back.
Caroline, thank you. Good to see you. I want to get back to another question that was asked earlier. It talked about the political aspects, but there's also the ideological and the spiritual aspects of what Iran has said for 47 years. Death to America, death to
That's
Israel.
bad. That's really bad.
We've just
the death to
finished talking
America
about
thing.
the fact that terror has been around the world. Iran has been the nexus of that in so many ways. Has the president stated clearly to the American people why this is such an imminent threat in order for Democrats on Capitol Hill
I think the messaging isn't very good about
and
Iran,
the American people
honestly.
to understand how imminent the threat
I think it's actually really bad.
I think he has, Kelly. I mean, you've heard from
No,
the
I don't
president
agree.
on an almost daily basis over the course of the past
I don't
10
agree
days.
at all.
You've heard it from me at this podium. You've heard it from the Secretary of War, the Secretary of State,
Bill
the
Kelton
Vice
today?
President of the United States.
That's a surprise.
You know, the president's top cabinet and his officials have been repeatedly explaining to the American public the threat
Don't listen
that Iran
Barger off
has
Cuba
posed
after we
to our
stabilize
country
them?
in
Yeah, of
this
course.
moment, but of
That's
course
the
over
point.
the course of the past 47
That's the whole
years.
point.
And their words, again, chanting death to America, speak for themselves.
Shouldn't do that.
Go ahead. You can follow up.
Why the division within the American people? I realize that we have the people are talking about the War Powers Act.
Yeah.
They're talking about all kinds of issues. But have people forgotten
Doesn't matter
just
when the
how
media's against
imminent
you.
that threat was?
Yeah.
If they keep saying
It's probably
death
true.
to America
Well-
and death to Israel, they mean it.
Look, I don't think the American people have forgotten, but I think Democrats on Capitol Hill, they have not forgotten.
They don't
but they are
forget.
just
It's
so
not they
plagued,
forgot, they agree.
With this resistance
They hate
to
America.
President Trump on everything that
That's
they
the
do.
reason why they wanna
that,
bring in
again,
foreigners.
They can't even rally behind the common sense,
Yeah.
bipartisan, long-standing principle of the United
I mean,
States
it's
of
not even a
America,
question,
that
duh.
Iran absolutely
Like,
poses a
obviously.
threat to the United States, that Iran is the world's leading
Mm-hmm.
state sponsor of terrorism, and I think that's reflected again in their voting pattern. In 2023, every single member of the House of Representatives, with the exception of one, I believe
Yeah.
the final vote was 412 to 1 in 2023 for a resolution condemning Iran as the world's state leading sponsor of terror. And now in 20,
I feel like
in
everybody
this
knew
year,
this.
Under this
Now
president,
we're
in
switching up.
2026, 53 Democrats voted against that exact same resolution with the exact same
Stupid.
language. I don't think that's a change in the threat that Iran has posed to the United States.
They're bombing here in Qatar.
I think it's
We'll
a
look at it
change
after
in
this.
the Democrat Party's thinking and their
I'm sure there's been
vicious
multiple
hatred
Iran
for
crash
President
outs.
Trump. Danny. Sure.
National
Thanks,
threat
Caroline.
level, following on Kelly,
What?
what's the national threat level right now because of this death to America, death to Israel issue?
I believe the Department of Homeland Security
threat
and the FBI
level?
have repeatedly and continuously
Infinity.
provided updates on the
It's
threat level to
orange.
the homeland. I don't
Threat
want to speak
level
on
orange.
it out of turn from up here.
Whatever
but of
you
course,
think that means,
the
that's
federal
what it is.
government is continuing
Orange.
to coordinate and partner with local law enforcement agencies across the ground to
Being
thwart
asked the US for
potential
COVID?
threats to the homeland.
People
This is
wear masks
something
if they're
the
sick
administration
sometimes.
obviously takes very seriously. We
South
are
Korea, they
thwarting
do that shit all the
threats,
time.
that frankly most Americans don't know about because they never make headlines, but that's the great work
Yeah.
that the Department of Homeland Security is doing, and it emphasizes
Orange
and
like
underscores
Trump?
the
Yes,
point
he's
of
the
why
threat.
Democrats need to fund and reopen fully the Department of Homeland Security right now. Danny.
On the Iranian school, why did President Trump say yesterday that Iran may have Tomahawk missiles when there are only 3 other US allies plus the US that have those missiles and therefore could...
Look, again, as the president said yesterday, he will accept the conclusion of this investigation by the Department of War. I know there's been a lot of speculation in the media about who may be responsible
It
for this.
doesn't
We're not
matter
gonna
who's
get ahead,
responsible for
of
bombing the
Department of
school.
War and the conclusion of that investigation. The president has a right to
It doesn't
share
matter.
his opinions with the American public, but he has said he'll accept the conclusion of that
If they
investigation.
say
and
Iran did it,
frankly,
they're gonna say
we're
the
not going to be
government's
harassed
lying.
By the New York Times, who's
They'll
been
only
putting out a
accept
lot of
the
articles
outcome
on
that the
this,
government's wrong.
making claims that have just not been
That's
verified
it.
by the Department of War to quickly wrap up this investigation because the New York Times is calling on us to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Carolyn, with the
It's a moot point, yeah.
currently under a partial Democrat shutdown, does the administration have any specific concerns about potential impact on Homeland Security?
Matters to make the narrative more
or
negative? Yeah.
intelligence monitoring of sleeper cells inside the United States? And do you have any comment on the bombing, the 2 individuals that bombed
Epstein
New York City
paradox?
or tried to?
Yeah, it was absolutely despicable to see that attack in New York City.
Mhm.
I know the FBI is investigating.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The Department of Justice.
The other
and SDNY
terrorist
have
attack.
announced they are charging
The
these
ISIS
2
Andes.
individuals and alleged terrorists, and I know they won't rest until justice is sought in
Mhm.
this case. Daniel. Daniel,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Caroline. Appreciate it. Millions of Americans are filing taxes for the first time since the president signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act into
Yeah.
law. New reports say that new IRS data says that the average federal tax refund is around $3,800, a little bit up from the last period of last
Yeah.
year. Does the president believe that the average federal tax refund increasing this year could provide a little bit more economic growth?
Well, it should. That'd be good
as the year progresses.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and Americans
obviously.
are going to start benefiting from the fruits of President Trump and Republicans'
We talking about the
labor,
Antifa guy kill a
through the
cop?
passage
No, I
of
didn't
the
see
One Big
anything about
Beautiful
that.
bill and these historic tax cuts. We are midway through tax season, so just to provide an update from the Treasury Department that just went out moments ago, nearly 63.5 million tax returns have been processed thus far. 45% of the anticipated total number of tax
What is
returns
this?
by
No,
April
Matt,
15th,
you linking me
so don't
this?
forget to file your taxes, people. And the average refund this year is more than $3,700. And we know that more than 27.5 million individuals who have filed their tax returns
The
thus
IRS
far
sent me
have
a
claimed
letter.
at least one of President Trump's
sent me a
new
letter.
tax cuts. Over 3.5 million returns have claimed
They said
no
that I
tax
owed
on
them
tips. Over 15.5 million returns have claimed no tax on overtime. Over 9.2 cuts. Over 3.5 million returns have claimed
They said
no
that I
tax
owed
on
them
tips. Over 15.5 million returns have claimed no tax on overtime. Over 9.2 million returns have
It's like
claimed
4
the
days
enhanced
ago.
deduction for seniors. And over 690,000 returns have claimed no tax on car loan interest. And another amazing statistic, nearly 3.5 million Trump accounts have been opened
Have to do another
for
fucking
children
sponsor
in our
stream.
country thus far. So we look forward to, I know the Treasury Department continues to look forward to seeing these checks go out the door and into
Yeah.
the pockets of
Do you?
hardworking
I don't know.
Americans. And the president will be meeting with them himself tomorrow on the road in both Ohio and Kentucky. And we look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you, guys.
You could write that off. I can't write it off, bro. Like they got me on. And so, yeah, you owe us a house. I mean, yeah, I got the letter and like, I'll check my mail and I'll see like, oh fuck, there's another letter from the IRS. And like right now I have like my taxes that are getting managed by like, a place. And so it's like, I'm not stressed out about it, but it was like, I opened it up and I like texted them. I'm like, hey, just wanted to let you know, I got a letter. It said I owe $390,000. They're like, oh, okay. Well, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. I said, all right, cool. And then I just went back to playing video games and I haven't thought about it since then. And they never called me about it. So like, I'm assuming that things just kind of worked themselves out, right? I mean, they did.
Hello wonderful person, this is Anton, and in this video we're going to be discussing an exciting possibility in regards to the origins of life on planet Earth. And that's because for many years researchers have always assumed that life started from some kind of a primordial soup, very likely somewhere in the deep ocean 4.3 billion years ago. And though at first this was just a bunch of RNA molecules interacting and creating something more and more complex, eventually this could have given birth to some of the first cells, which then started to evolve and become more and more complex. But what if this wasn't actually the case? Or at least what if it wasn't the case in terms of the timeline and in terms of the actual location? And so what if life didn't start here? But is actually some kind of a planet hopper, moving from one world, from a planet or from a moon, to a new one through various asteroid collisions. And that's essentially the core principle of the idea referred to as the panspermia hypothesis. The idea that life can easily spread between planets
Hello, guys and gals, me, Mudahar, and you know, you might be like, whoa, Muda, you can't hit me with the doomer stuff like that. You know, I don't want to start these videos off with the big doom and gloom. I'm actually an anti-doomer in a lot of ways. So before we continue on this, I just want you to understand, there's ways that you can fight back against the crazy shit that is happening all around us. It seems in the last year that things have ramped up and escalated so hard when it comes to locking down and controlling what we can and cannot do, that to me, I make these videos to teach you guys and educate you on things that are happening around you that actually do affect you, right? They actually can have the possibility of affecting what is our hobby, whether it be gaming, whether it be playing on Linux with virtual machines, whether it be browsing the internet on our own free dime. This is something that, of course, you can fight back. I'm going to bring up some laws today that, again, have just dropped. It seems like every day there's like a new law that comes in, okay? I've never seen the government work together so fucking well when it comes to achieving this one thing, which is globally age verifying and locking down a lot of our systems. Now, as the title of this video would imply, I really think the goal here is to make Linux, at least for the consumer level, somewhat illegal, right? And that might be an extreme way of putting it, but bear with me, okay? Just stick around and let's get started with the front of this, okay? There's a lot to cover. Now, over the last few weeks, over the last 2 weeks, I talked about age verification on the operating system level, right? So we looked at laws from California, we looked at laws from New York, and, you know, we even had big guys like System 76, you know, who are behind Pop! OS, and they actually sell Linux computers, even come out and talk about age verification at the OS level. A lot of these guys hate it. Everyone hates it. Unfortunately, the law is the law. If the law tells you to do something, you're probably going to do it. Otherwise, you're going to get penalties. You're not going to be able to fight that shit in court legally. You have to stop it now. Otherwise, it gets worse than it is. Now, to understand, a lot of these laws that are introduced, like California, are self-attestation, meaning that basically the goal for now is to put up a little screen that asks you for your age, sort of your age or date of birth. And a lot of these guys, the lawmakers, come in thinking that, you know, they're governing iPhones, Android devices, Windows computers, Mac OS systems. But they forget that Linux doesn't really have things like accounts, all right? There are users in Linux, but you're not really sending information out to anybody. Now we're getting to a point where a lot of these systems are considering adding in age verification, or they're ultimately thinking of, do we even want to serve a lot of these areas? Which might have been fine if 1 or 2 states, 1 or 2 countries was knocking down, but it seems like everybody's knocking down. So, interestingly, I saw something from the Attorney General in Florida over here. So it's time over. Time for negotiations are done. Big tech companies have 30 days from today to implement age restrictions on social media access for kids under 14 within 60 days. Parental consent must be in place for 14 to 16 years of age. Okay, so I want to listen to what this guy has said. Obviously, before we begin, I just want to talk about how loaded this shit is, right? So to give you an idea, the prosecuting child predators part is fucking hilarious to me, because this is coming from a government, by the way, that has handled the Epstein files in such a terrible manner that it feels like a lot of people in the government, some of the people at the top, might have been doing something untowards with children, right? It's crazy to think that we are governed by actual pedophiles. But now, instead of actually, you know, chasing after the leads that have been presented in those files, instead of going through and prosecuting shit, the American government has decided, all right, in piecemeal, we're just going to lock down and mass surveil people. You don't care about the children. If you gave even an iota of a shit about the kids, you would probably put some people behind bars. But they're not doing that, okay? The Epstein situation is just a situation here. It's not being acted on with the respect that it deserves. But I'm supposed to believe these guys actually care about kids? Come on now. You know, framing it like this is already a bad look, because they're trying to usher in mass surveillance, you know, taking away your privacy under the guise of protecting children, meaning that if somebody like me questions them, this piece of shit and all these other fucking pieces of shit behind them will go, well, you don't care about kids? No, I do care about kids. I also care about the law. And you guys seem to be really good at fucking both the kids and the law. Anyways, let's get started here.
Look, parents have tough decisions to make. I do think parents need to reevaluate
What is the appropriate age to give your kid a cell phone where they have the internet at their fingertips? When I was 15, 16 years old, that didn't exist yet. So today, you see kids now, and I know, my 5-year-old daughter is so smart and so cute and so persuasive. It's hard for me to say no to her. I can only imagine what it's like when suddenly she's 13 or 14 and all the other kids have them. So that is a tough decision to make. I'll tell you this, she's not getting a phone at 14 or 15 years old. No way. TikTok, very, very dangerous. We see a lot of predatory activity there, a lot of pornography that's still on the site. We're working to hold them accountable. We have a recently passed piece of legislation, SB 3, that says under 14, it's illegal for these social media sites to let them on. 14 to 16, you can have access, but only after explicit parental approval. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals recently upheld that law. It is the law of the land. We're giving companies, really until another 30 days from now to get straight with regard to the under 14, 60 days to ensure parental consent is in place, and then we will begin filing lawsuits as fast as you can see.
So this guy is giving that little smug laugh here. Basically, what they're saying is that the social media companies in this point, they have to effectively prove that they're not reaching minors, right? And the only way that they can do that is by verifying every single account through all of these age verification methods. Some of these verification methods, like Discords, for instance, where information has unfortunately been leaked out for hackers to grab, and there's been reported information, of this thing called Infutor, for instance, where like 676 million consumer records were out. Obviously, I haven't confirmed this entirely myself, but if it's true and a vast amount of information is out there, 676 million is literally almost double, I believe, what the current US population is. So I imagine a lot of this also includes, like they say, deceased people. I haven't verified this information for myself, but you can imagine in a world where these tech companies do the bare minimum of treating our shit with any form of security, do you honestly think this isn't going to be a big minefield down the road? Forget the data surveillance, forget the mass surveillance shit, that's bad, but imagine if a bunch of hackers start getting access to things like your address, date of birth, social security numbers, driver identification, all of that crazy stuff. That's what these scumbag politicians don't really think of. Now, in the mind of this politician, he's trying to think that he's doing a good thing by like forcing these social media companies to age verify. But in reality, he's not really being truthful in saying that a lot of these platforms, and I'll show you it really quickly. Do you run Ubuntu, for instance, Linux? You know that there's parental controls on Linux right now. Parents can look through and restrict web browsers, applications, installing applications, restricting them by an age group that you do on your own local system. No need to collect anything, just you being a fucking parent. Of course, hey, what if you have an iPad? Well, you can actually control your kids' iPad usage through Apple's various parental control features baked right into the fucking system. Oh, did you buy your kid a MacBook? Well, congratulations, not only are they running ClaudeBot, but you can lock that shit down using parental controls without ruining my experience on the fucking internet. There's also Microsoft Family Safety. One credit I'll give Microsoft, they also have great family controls. And you know what the best part is? You even get little notifications on your cell phone if little Timmy's trying to access sites that little Timmy shouldn't be accessing. Oh, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. What about a gaming console? Did you buy your kid a PlayStation? Well, you can get the PlayStation Family app and monitor exactly what your kid's doing online. So there are ways to monitor and control your children and what they do on the internet. These politicians are basically not even, reality, I would support this if all these politicians did was educate parents about this kind of behavior. You know what's really funny to me is if all the social media stuff is so bad for your mental health, why do we not implement a way, and I don't even agree with this either, but if you're going to buy a tablet, if you're going to buy a smartphone that exposes you to the scary internet, why not have the actual agent at the store, like the actual cashier, like you would go to a bar, verify your driver's license before they sell you such a dangerous product, right? But Muda, what if kids need a computer for their school? Well, the school can provide that, and you know what the school can also do? Lock that bitch down. You ever get a laptop for work? You know how monitored and surveilled that laptop is? Because if you do anything other than work, everyone in the cyber department will just fucking know what you're doing. Do you know what's really interesting too? If computers and the internet are so dangerous, why do you give a child a loaded handgun? You know, that might be a big jump for some people. Do you get a Glock? Do you put a magazine full of rounds in it? Do you rack the slide back, make sure one is loaded in the chamber, and hand it off to little Timmy? If the answer to that is yes, check yourself into a fucking police station and never ever allow yourself near a child, let alone another human being. If the answer to that is no, I wouldn't.
Hello, communication enthusiasts. Just wanted to do a little check-in here. I know all of us are...
We got minus 19, plus 21 in our 2 last games. And I was like, I bet they tweeted about it. I think they tweeted about it. They did, actually. But bro, now I'm like sitting here stun-locked in real life because I'm like, I knew these freaks were bugged. If I only would have played decay games, I would at minimum be 1.1 KLP. Instead, my graph looks like this. From 1.3K all the way down to 550. So I'm like, dude, should I start trying this account again? No, I'm gonna yellow rip it. Get it. My other account's LP gains are the same, plus it's higher LP. I think it's 600 now? 607, big dog. And LP, with broken LP gains, with bad LP gains, by the way, I still climbed like this. I'm a freak. We're actually holding it like a bunch of freaks. We had a Zierheimer, Fed Ziri, Farm Ziri, not Fed. Bro, god damn it. Minus 20, minus 20 plus 8. I couldn't do anything. Bot lane, so we had a perma roam. We gotta be, I think my vision score carries. Hopefully. Take it. Hello, guys.
Are salivating, waiting on bated breath for our Trump phones to finally ship. And about 2 months ago, on January 12th, I did my first little check-in to see what's going on because the T1 device was supposed to ship in 2025, in the summer of 2025. But when they missed that initial promise, they then said, you know, as a result of the government shutdown and stuff, we had to put the kibosh on it for a little while, had to pump the brakes, so it's coming any day now. Well, any day was not 2026 either, it seems, because January they still had no idea. I was talking to customer support, they had no clue. And I just started thinking, well, it's been 2 months since the last time I called, might as well get a little status report, see if anything's changed over there. Shocker, nothing's changed, but they're saying any day now. And you'll get to hear on the phone call, the representative did kind of give like a tentative release date idea, kind of like the concept of a release, which obviously inspires confidence. So mark your calendar for the nebulous idea of any day now for the delivery of the Trump phone, which, by the way, it's not like pre-orders were free or anything to reserve. People forked over 100 clams for a phone that they were told they'd be receiving in the summer of 2025, or even still on their website, the end of 2025. Feel like that might need a little sprucing up because it is not accurate unless they hit it somewhere at the end of 2025 and you gotta find it like the fucking One Piece or something. And again, this was $100 flushed down the shitter here for this. And according to data, like the available numbers, thousands upon thousands of people paid $100 to reserve this device that they were supposed to be having in their hands in 2025. And now it's still not, no one's got it, no one's even seen it. I can't find a single photo or video of the T1 device being tested or utilized or even shown. So there's still nothing tangible at all, and complete radio silence from Trump Mobile on the whereabouts of the phone. Which blows my mind because I don't want to just regurgitate everything from last video, but if you don't recall, the Trump phone, its whole selling point was, this is a fully American-made mobile device that you can pre-order for $100 to reserve it, and it would cost hundreds of dollars, not thousands, which, if you know anything about electronics, is actual unicorn shit. This is gobbledygook they were spitting out, because a fully American-made phone would cost thousands of dollars. There is just no way to deliver what they were claiming as an American-made phone. At that price point, it would have been impossible. So, on their website, they changed it from made in the USA to now just being proudly American, and they also got rid of the September 2025 release date on there because they missed it by a little bit, and they've missed every other release date that they've tried to fart out. And I think that's probably the last time they updated the site, because that site still has such inaccurate information. It feels like the Trump mobile website gets less updates than the fucking Space Jam GeoCities website. It is crazy, because they still have things on there about like how it's coming at the end of the year, 2025, that kind of stuff. But the reason I find it so interesting is because I expected them, and many others speculated, that they would just drop ship some Alibaba trash phone just to hawk something, since people put hundreds of dollars on it and they just like spray paint it gold. But they haven't even done that. They just have delivered nothing and have gone completely catatonic on the whole subject of the T1 device. It is very weird. Like, it's not cheap. You put $100 down on the idea of having a phone maybe at some point. And they don't even bother trying to keep you updated on it at all. You have to call and pry some information out of them. Information that may just be completely made up fiddlesticks, by the way. But anyway, let me show you how the check-in went with the actual customer service here to get some answers. Let's do a little check-in on my Trump phone. Surely it's probably out for delivery. I imagine it's left the warehouse at Temu by now. Let's take a peek.
Thank you for calling Trump Mobile. Due to inclement weather, we are unable to take your call at this time. Normal hours of operation are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Thank you. Thank you for calling Trump Mobile. Our offices are currently closed. Please call back during our normal business.
Trump Mobile, huh? What? I am literally looking at their website right now. Their hours of operation also include Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. CST, which I am firmly in the middle of. And what weather are they talking about? What the fuck is happening at Trump Mobile HQ right now? Jesus Christ, did Monkey D. Dragon come through with the wind fruit or some shit and just blast them off the face of the planet? What do you mean? It's supposed to... I'm in their business hours. Well, I'll be. Just saute my cheeks, why don't you? Is there anything on the Trump Mobile site that's accurate or truthful? Like, holy shit, even their posted business hours aren't accurate. So, I'm gonna have to call back on Monday, maybe, and see if they still have a customer service department or if they just fired everyone there. I don't know. Alright, it is now Monday at 1 p.m. I'm going to try calling again and see if I can get a status update on my T1 phone. Let's see. Alright. Now the full experience begins. On hold.
Thank you for calling Trump Mobile. My name is Robert. How can I help you today?
Hey, Robert. I was just hoping to check in on the status of my order. I still haven't received the T1 device.
Okay, gotcha. So when did you place the order?
Geez, probably around summer 2025.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just asking because want to make sure we give you the correct information and apologize for the inconvenience for how long you've been waiting. Right now, based on current timelines, we're expecting shipments to begin at the end of this month. Okay. So although timing may change depending on the completion of certification and testing, we're going to notify you directly once your device is ready to ship. So it should be literally any day or any week. Okay? And I'm kind of with you at the same point. I actually have one ordered for me and my daughter as well, and I've been waiting a while myself, and just want to apologize for anything.
Oh yeah, no worries. I mean, I know it's not you